Hello there guys. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to implement multiple authentication using reactJs and Laravel. In other words, an React API whereby you are able to log in, log out, to register as well using Laravel as the backend and reactJs as the front end. So let's begin now. I did a tutorial on how to implement a CRUD application using React and Laravel. You may want to check that video before you go for this one, because that one shows you how to make an application whereby you are able to register. Um, that is, you're able to make a table example which has the CRUD application, that is the create, read, update, and delete, and so forth using React JS. So now, let's begin. So what we're going to do here, I'm just going to show you a demo of how this application is working, and this is how um, it works. So let's begin. So let me show you how the application works. So here I have my email. So I'm going to log into the application like this, then just enter the email. Now, for example, if I enter a wrong email, this is what I'm going to get. So there's going to be warning, invalid credentials. So that tells me the password was not correct. But this time the password has to be correct so that I may be logged into the application. Now, this is the first part. So we are going to have this, you're going to be led to this dashboard, which as the normal user is able to log into this particular place here. So, and then we have this logout button, which you're able to log out of the application. Okay, now that is for the login page, for the login, that is for the normal user. Now let's go to the admin. Now the admin also has this particular email here. So, and then the password here is like that. So remember, if it is wrong, it will also you'll also get a similar message like we got before. So that is for the admin dashboard. So welcome to admin. So the admin is that one. And then we have the logout option for the admin. So this is now the admin part. Now, for example, if there's something I forgot to show you. So now this is the admin, and the admin can log out as well, like that. So you are logged out of the application. Now let's say, for example, you log in as the normal user, like this, at gmail.com, and then the password is that one. Now, if you log in as the normal user here, and then let's say you try to access the dashboard admin. Sorry, this is the normal. Sorry, should be admin dashboard like this. Now you can't access the admin dashboard because there is a forbidden. So there is this particular page that comes that shows you that you are forbidden to access this, so you do not have admin rights. So you are either redirected to go home like this, and then you can log out using this logout button. So this is what we have. So this is Laravel and reactJs. So if you are not familiar with the two frameworks, you need to go and check out my two courses on getting started with Laravel 9 and also getting started with reactJs. I've done those two tutorials, so you may want to check before you begin with this tutorial. Now here, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to show you this code, explain to you how it works, um, and you'll be good to go. So the first thing here you need to know is that I've made a folder. So basically what you need to do is just I already have a website here whereby I've explained all this, and the website is on should be Laravel multi authentication. So this is the application with. So I've already made this tutorial, already written it on my website blog. So if you haven't checked it out, you can check it out. So I've explained everything step by step. So whatever I'm going to explain to you in this video, I've explained it step by step, and you just need to follow this, and then you'll be good to go. As well, you can also subscribe to my free tutorials that I get to post on this website. Yeah, so I've explained everything step by step, what you need to do, where you need to go to, and explanations of how the code is working here. So, and everything is explained very well. So there's nothing, if you're not, I believe you're not new to this framework. So for you to understand, it will be easy if you're not a beginner in these two tutorials here. So once you follow this, you'll be good to go. So what you are doing here, the first thing I'm doing here is that I've come to install React. So this is now React. Once you have installed React, you need to go to this source, and then you need to go to the components. So basically, this is what you can even follow. You can follow up with this particular tutorial. So what you need to do here, you just need to come install React app like this, and then cd into the name of your Laravel app, and then cd and then npm start. Of course, that's the way. And then once the React app is installed, you need to come to, or you need to go to, that is, you need to go to the components first and then set up these two files, the login and the register and so forth. So let me just quickly explain using here. So here we have components. So you come here, you create a new file, a new folder called components, and then within the components, you need to create another folder called auth. So that's why the path is this way here. Components, front end, and then the auth. So there are three of them. So that should be this one, and then this one, and then the auth, and then now you create these two files, the login.js. Now the login.js, what it has basically is it has the code for basically creating the login page that we are able to see on our application here. So for this login here, for it to work, this is what we have. So what we have here, I'm just importing Axios, Sweet Alert, React DOM. And then here I'm creating a function login using the use history. And now with the use history, you can also use the navigate, but I've just used, because I'm using the React router DOM version 5. That's why I'm using this one. So if you are familiar, I believe you are familiar with the React, so you understand what I'm saying. Then we have the login input and set login. Now this one is just to set the values that you're going to input. For example, I'm going to require an email and a password, just like you can see here, these two. And then the error list is just to display any errors that are there. For example, if I try to log in and I've not given any, so this is what is going to be displayed. Remember, this validation is also coming from here, and then it is being thrown to the Laravel side here, whereby we have the auth controller. Then the auth controller is able to validate the two fields, the name, the email, and the password. Actually, the name is not necessary here, so we don't need it, but then the two of them are being validated as such. Okay, guys, let's continue. So the next thing is to create an event. So under the input, whereby you're going to under the login input, and then we're going to target the name and the values that you're going to give. And then we are going to create another event for login submit. So this one is called um, whenever you click the submit. So you want to click the submit to submit your data. That is, the user to submit is his or her data. So the login submit is going to be called, and then the credentials are going to be submitted using this particular event. So the same thing here, the const data here, we are defining the two inputs that have been captured from the user, and then they are submitted. Now the next thing here we have is the Axios. And to remember, I also did a tutorial on Axios and what Axios is, so you may also want to check that. So Axios is used for performing HTTP requests, that is on a particular remote application, for example. So here I'm using Laravel in my case, whereby we are going to explore it after we are done with React. So what is happening here is that I have Axios, and then within Axios, let me, before I explain this one here, which is very important, let me first go to this part here. So the axios.api.login, here I have the status, which is 200 if everything goes well. Now the local storage.set item is used to generate a token, whereby if the person gets to register, there's a token that is going to be created within your local your Google. So when you come to inspect here, so here I have something like this. Okay, as you can see here, if I register something like this, so I have this, and then I register the email, the password like this. So the local dot the the set item for the local storage is going to generate something like this. Now you can see here, yes, so this is what we have. So you can see the out token here has been generated, and then the login user is logged in, and then the name of the person is Brian, and then yeah, so the out name and the out token. So this one, they are created when the person is logged in, but when you log out, they're going to be cleared out. So this is what this code is doing. So it is setting this to like that within our Google, like this. And then we have the, if it's successful, as we have seen, the sweet alert. Remember, I'm using sweet alert here, is the one that we are using here to log in if the message is successful. Now, this if statement here is going to check two parts. It's going to check if the role is admin, then the person is going to be taken to the admin side. For example, if the password matches the admin, so the person is going to be logged into the admin dashboard, or else is going to be taken to the normal dashboard. And in this case, you can see here we have just logged in as the normal user there. Okay, if everything does not go well, so this is also used to capture any warning of the 401. So warning, which now we are going to set, you're going to use this set login, which we already declared here, to get the input, and then that is, if the inputs are not correct, then the errors uh, will be thrown on this part here. So it is a try and it is a catch error, just like we have in Java. Okay, so now this return is just returning for us a bootstrap um, login form, and within the login form, within the bootstrap login form, we have the login submit event, whereby, as I showed you, we have declared it here so that we can use it. Now this one, e.prevent default, what it does, it prevents submitting for us the form. Um, it prevents the 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 obvious submission of the form. In other words, it doesn't submit the form without us giving it the particular needed credentials. So that is the function of that. And then logins. So once you submit, this login submit is called, and then it is able to submit the form to our backend by calling the API. Now remember here, I'm using axios.post, the API login, which I'm also created here within the API. So within the API here, I have these two routes, and these two routes defines for us the API login and then the API register within the Laravel. So that is being called there, as you can see here. Now remember, I've explained all these things within this website here. So you may just need to come and read. If you don't understand anything that I'm explaining, just come and read here. Everything is well explained. Now, so once that is done, this part here is just to input the errors. So any error, as you have seen, when you are trying to log in without giving any credentials, we could see the email is required, password is required, and so forth. So this is what it does, and then we are good to go. So that is the login page. Now within that one, the next one we go to is the front components, front end, out, and then register. Now within the register here, I'm also importing the same thing that we had within our login. And then I'm also creating a function. So it is similar with what we were doing on the other end here. And then here I'm also so this is an array. So for example, I'm going to receive an email, a name, email, and password, and I've said the name is not necessary. So this one, you don't need this one here. So you can have this one like that, unless I've defined it somewhere else. But this one is the way it is. Now, so what we have here is the error to receive any errors. So that is an array to receive any errors. The undo input here is going to undo whatever the registry credentials that are going to be registered within the application and so forth. Here we have the const data, so it's to capture the name, the email, and the password. As I've said, the name is not necessary. I've just remembered there's something I was to explain about the Sanctum CSRF cookie. Now, what this part of the code here does, which you need to have, is that it enables you to it it is used for matching the tokens, and then that is when you go to the Laravel, um, when you go to the Laravel documentation here and search for, so here you search for Sanctum. So the Laravel Sanctum here. So what you're going to get here is as well, I'm also going to show you how to install this and also how to use it. But you need to know here, there's something, because remember we're also using the Sanctum to generate the API tokens, and then we are using the API, we are using the token, so as to create that token and save it. That's why I was showing you here, whereby we have this token which is saved here, is created using this particular code here, which is already in my Laravel application. And then you declare the token abilities, like for example, you want this to be for admin and then another one for normal user. So we are going to look at that one in just a minute. So let me see. So where do we have the CSRF? Yes, this is the one here. So this is for, yes, Santa middleware. And then before we look at that, now authenticating. So here you can see to authenticate your SPA, that is single page application. So you need to make a request to this particular endpoint to initialize the CSRF protection for the application. So what we'll do is that for you to authenticate your login page, you need to send an API to this endpoint here. And then within the endpoint here is going to enable you to create a particular token. This token here, of course, this token has to match with the Laravel token that is generated on the backend here. So looking at the part I've explained on this part, the CSRF part, um, so what we have here is should be okay. Let me just explain. So the purpose of this one is just to enable you to authenticate your application. In other words, the token have to match, and this is very important because it prevents the the XX, that is the cross-site scripting, whereby somebody will not be able to hack your application. So this is for CSRF protection, and that's why we are using it here. So it's simple. So what you need to do before you authenticate your application, you just need to copy this code and then come and declare it here, as we have done here, so that your tokens will be able to match with the React and Laravel. And then if everything goes successful, you are redirected to dashboard. And yeah, so once the registration is done, remember this is the same as login, whereby we have the error to catch any errors. And yeah, so and then the log register submit, which is an event for us to which will enable us to submit the information to our backend. Now that is on the registration page. I don't think there's anything else. So the other part that you should be able to go to is the other part should be after the registration. We have to set the home page. So setting up the home page, which is very easy. So it is under the components front end and then the home.js. So this is it. So this should be under the components and then the home, which should be this one here. So basically this is just the home page which displays before you get to log into your application. The next item is to create assets. So this is how you create assets within React. So assets front end, and then CSS, and then the styles.css. So here I just wanted to style up the BG, that is for the navbar. So my navbar header dark. Remember it's from Bootstrap, so I needed to style it up. So I needed to change the color. So I've declared this one under the front end. Remember we have two folders here. You need to know we have a front end and then we have the admin, which is basically the backend. So here what I have is under the assets. So within the assets here, you are able to access this, and then this is what we have here. So what you need to do is just need to come to the source and then make assets folder, and then within the assets create a front end, yes, and then a CSS, and then now the file itself. Okay, so we also have within the layouts and then the navbar. So what we have here is the layouts front end and then the navbar. So for the navbar, this is what we have. This is also important. So I have another folder here called layouts and then the front end and then the navbar. So layouts is this one here. So we have the navbar for the front end, which is this one here. So this navbar has several items, and the first item is just to import whatever we want to use. So I want a link to link, for example, when I come to click the different items, as you can see here. Now you can see when I log out the out token name, and for the name and the password have been cleared out. So this navbar here, you can see the way I'm able to navigate to this navbar here is aided by this link here. So I'm also using Suite Alert, Axios. Then I'm requesting an API, which is the logout within my Laravel here. So this is the API. So this is following the Sanctum and then the logout. So when your logout is able to clear out um, the tokens, and these are the tokens that are cleared out. You can see we have set the local storage dot remove item. So we remove the out token and then the out name, as we have seen when I just logged out right now. And then it pushes me back to my home page, which basically is now this one. Okay, so next what we have here, I'm defining a variable. So I'm creating a variable called out buttons, which basically I append it with this particular snippet of code, whereby we have the login, register, and contact. And the out buttons are these, as you can see them. So what I'm declaring there, we have a logout as well. So when the person is logged in, what appears is the logout, as you have seen, the red button. And this logout submit is created under this particular event here, whereby we are also preventing the default submission of the form. So that is it. And then here, as I've defined it here, the out button here is just now calling this particular part here, so that they can now, we have the logo and then the out buttons, which now are the ones that are presented here. So I believe you understand that. If you don't get it, you can as well read within my blog or comment or put your comment in the comment section below. Okay, so that is on the navbar. For the navbar. So for the next item is a dashboard for the normal user, which is very easy. You just need to go to layouts, front end, and then the dashboard.js, which should be this one here. So once the person is logged in successfully, you'll be directed to this particular dashboard there. You can see that. The next part here is the layouts front end and then the front end layout.js. Now, what this part does here is we need to handle the routes from the front end. And let me just locate the file for you. So it is under the layouts, remember? So this is the part. Now, what this particular file does, as I have written here, it is a front end layout, which is the main layout for the front end section of the application. And then it has the switch, and then it renders different pages based on the URL path. So the pages can be rendered, include that is the dashboard, the logged in users, and also it defines the public routes array. So let's look at what is happening here. So what is happening is returning a navbar, of course, and this navbar is the one that I've just shown you here. So this is the navbar here, and then here it has the switch. So this switch is basically for the navigating different pages. Now these are URL paths for different pages within my application. So these paths here are defined within the public routes array. So we also want to look at the public routes array. So you can see now the public routes here are different pages that I have within my application. For example, the home page, the one you have just seen being rendered. We have the 4, 3, and 4 pages, which you're going to look at, and then the login, and then the registry, which you have already looked at. So this front-end layout, this is what it is doing. So it is defining for us the path of these different URLs. And then here we also have a route which is going to the dashboard once the user is logged in, is directed to this. So this is all this. So basically this file is aiding all the routes for my application within the front end. So next we have is just what I've just explained for you, the files for the public, so the routes for the public. So I've explained them here. They just shows you the path, the exact flag, and then the name, and then the component to render the route. And basically here we have for example, if the router matches this, it will render the home component. If it matches the 4.4, it will render the 4.4 page, and so forth. So this is what we have under the public array. And then you might be okay. So let's just go to the other one. Yes, this is what I was to explain. So the 4.4 and 4.3 and 4.4 pages are the forbidden and the not found page. For example, if somebody tries to access something that is not there, you'll be directed to the 4.4 page. So basically the 4.3, so this is what we have. So we have the 4.3 page. So this is the one that I just showed you, as I was showing you the demo of the application. If the person is trying to access an illegal page, which is not supposed to access, you'll be thrown to this page here, which says not forbidden. And then basically for 404, this one is for not found. So this one basically it shows the page is not found, and this one can be found. So this is where it is found. So this is the page uh, you are directed to. Then the next part is the public route. Now the public route is another page, and this is the one here. Now this one is created under the root. So you're going to create this one in the root, and I've already shown you the paths for you to create the particular page. So what we have here is that this particular file here, what it is doing, it defines the public route component, which is a functional React component to render the route with a specific layout. So what is happening is that it will use the route component from the React router DOM, and then basically what it is doing is to create a route that will render the specified layout component to pass any prompts, and then to the public route component. So the front-end layout component will be rendered for any route that passes through the public route component. So what is happening is that this part here, it is passing the route for with the prompts. Now prompts are properties for the front-end layout, the one I just showed you, which is the front-end layout for the front-end part. So look at this one here. So this, we say this one is the file for the front end, which this one is the front end layout for my application, for the front end section of my application. So what public route is doing, it's passing props to this front end layout so that it can work and render all the particular needed URL, like URLs within the front end. So that is what the public route is doing. Um, so this allows the developer to reuse the same layout for multiple routes. So basically, it is just to enable me to reuse this particular routes each time I need them. Okay, so the other part is creating the assets for styling the admin. So now we are going to the admin side. So under the admin, I also included the same styling for my navbar. So let's go now to the admin side. So the admin side here, so we have admin and then the navbar.js. So let's begin with the navbar.js. So the navbar.js is similar with the front end. So what I did here, I just copied the same code. The same API to log out is the same, and then the out button is the same, and then the logout is also the same. Actually, there's no difference here. There's no difference here. The navbar I copied is the same from the front end layout. So the assets for styling, which should be which one? Should be the path should be admin then CSS. So that should be Yes, you can also look for them here. So this is the one here that I have. So this is the admin and then the stylings for the navbar. A dashboard for the admin. As you can see here, this is the admin dashboard. So you have the components and then the admin. So under the components, then the admin, and then this is the dashboard. So when you are redirected to the admin, this is where this is the part that you will be redirected to. And then we have the navbar for the admin, which I've just explained. As well, we have creating a master layout for the admin. Now, the master layout is the same as the front end layout. So basically what it is doing, so let's go to it. So here we have the master layout here, and what it is doing, it is also defining the same routes that I'm going to reuse them. So the exact URL paths for my admin section. So I'm defining, for example, the navbar, just like we had with the front end layout. You can see within the front end layout, we also have the same structure here. We also have the navbar and so forth. So for the master layout, there's no difference. We also have the navbar here. We append it there. The switch is for me to be able to navigate through different pages within my admin side. And this is what we have. Now, these props that is being passed here are the properties that we are getting from within the admin side. Okay, so that is the master layout. You can also read here just to understand. I've explained it in detail. Now we also have the create file for the admin, and basically here we go to routes and then routes.js. So here we have the routes. Now you need to come here within the routes and then create routes.js. Now this one basically is just defining all the routes that I'm using within the admin side. You can have as many as you want. For example, if you are going to add other other files, you can define their paths here. So for example, you create maybe admin, maybe you want to create add. For example, you want to create a path, for example, to add. For example, let's say you want to create something like you can come here and then have something like this, and then maybe you want to create add somebody, maybe a VFI, for example, the project I used all this, and then you just have to have the component created for you. So you can add as many parts that you need there. Okay, so that is it. And then you can also read here, I've explained. So it just defines the properties of the path, exact name, and then yeah, so you read and then understand. Let's go to the admin private route. So this file will define the permission for accessing the admin dashboard. So remember you saw, for example, when the user tried to access the admin URL and then he was unable to access. Now that prevention is done through creation of admin private route. So this is very important. You need to understand it. So you create it under the route. No, it should be created within the source folder, not under any routes. So within the source folder here, I've also defined the path. You need to come and create this file. This file is very important. It is the one that will enable you to prevent any authorization of anyone who is trying to access your admin dashboard. So you define the function with the admin private route. You define the authentication and then the loading. Of course, this is to load when somebody is being loaded to the admin side. We are using a use effect react hook so as to check if the person is authenticated. And then if it's authenticated, we set it to true, or if it's not authenticated, we set it to false. Loading false and also authenticated false. Now we are also going to use Axios interceptors. These are used to prevent any person who is trying to access your application within, that is, to access your admin side. So We are going to set this as 401 to prevent any authorization. If the person tries to access a particular URL, you'll be prompted with this 403, which says you are forbidden. As well, if he tries to access any file that is not there, is going to be taken to this 404. Remember, I've already explained for you the 403 and the 404 page. And then if everything goes well, then the person is going to be returned with the authentication, whereby is going to be redirected to the particular um, login page. So these ones here are just to check if the person is indeed the person who is logging in to the application. So this admin private route, I could explain much, but I've written here what it does. I've written here. Now there's a part here which has the, for example, Axios API checking authenticated. This one I've defined it within uh, my Laravel here, which I'm also going to explain after I'm done with the React part, front end part. So basically here, what we have here is that I've created an is API admin, and then I'm checking if the person is authenticated, and then if the person is authenticated is logged in. Now here there's a middleware here, so you can see this is a route middleware to check if the person is authenticated. So we have the API middleware here, which I have created. Remember, let me just show you something here. So now we are going to the backend. We are now going to the backend. And within the backend here, this is what I'm trying to explain. So what we have here, run this command to create the middleware. And then after creating the middleware, copy this code. Now this code here is going to have several things. So what we have should be on the Laravel side. We are going to check, we're going to use a token, and this token is made through use of the Sanctum. So remember the Sanctum here. So you also need to have this installed. So what you need to have is you need to install Sanctum. You need to publish the Sanctum service provider. You need to migrate this. So that means you need to have a database created. So you need to have a database created here. Let me see, should be dashboard. So you need to have, I'm using XAMPP for my case. So you need to have this, and then once you are done, you need to come to kernel.php, and then you need to enable this. In Laravel 9, this one is already there. So what you need to do, you just need to enable it. And then now, once you are done, remember the use of this Sanctum is to generate tokens. So that's where we are using it. So basically what you are doing here, that's why we have it in the Laravel. We are checking the server. So we are generating a token for the admin. And as well, we also have the 403. This one is, remember, we have defined this one within the admin private route. And then, so we are checking if the person is an admin, you'll be taken to the next request if the user is an admin. So let's go to the out controller. Now you also need to create this file here, the out controller. So the out controller, um, after creating the normal user, okay, so before we go to, where is it? Did I show you how to create the out controller? It seems, yeah, so once you create the Laravel, remember you're going to install Laravel, and then here you need to create this the API, the out controller. Now this out controller is the one that is now controlling whatever we add on our frontend in our Laravel, and this is the file itself. So it's going to define several items. So you're going to define, you're going to validate the name, email, password. You're going to give any errors. For example, if the person is is not logged in, and this in this case you can see here when you try to log in, uh, the errors they come from the backend. So this is what is happening. And then after installing the Sanctum and then migrating, we are going to check we are going to create a token for the normal user, and then we are going to return the response if the token has been created successfully. And then we are going to, the person is going to be logged in, of course. And then for the, that is, if it fails, then the validation errors are going to be thrown. So this is for the normal user. So here we are checking if there's any error. If there's no error, the person is prompted with this message, invalid credentials, which I just showed you there. Now here, there's another part here. You can see if the user, now we are going to set roles. That's where this multiple authentication comes into play. You can see here we are going to check if the person is an admin. If the role is an admin, create a token for the admin using the Sanctum. Or if the person is a normal user, we are going to create a token for the normal user here. And then if all goes well, then this response message is going to be returned. And then lastly, we have the logout function to log out the user when he logs out. And we have already seen this one. Now, for you to create these roles, you need to come to, this should be the my table. So you need to come to, where do you need, let's check on users. Now, within the users here, you need to come and add this field here. There's this field which says role as, whereby you're going to set the 0 for users and 1 for admin. You can also check the structure here. So you need to create this one and then set it. On the comment side, you need to set 0 users and 1 admin, so that now it will work in this case here. It's going to check if the person is an admin, whereby you're going to set admin 1 and the normal user to be 0. Okay, and then the other part here you need to create is a controller. This controller is very easy. This one is just it's just a user controller, whereby when the person is logged in, you'll be returned by use of this controller. So we have created an a middleware. In the middleware, we are going to check for the admin and then generate a token. And then we also checking the person should not be the person who is trying to access an illegally, you'll be prompted with this message here. Okay, guys, so that is it. And then what else do we have here? We have the kernel.php. Yeah, this is now important. So kernel.php, once you install the Sanctum, you're going to enable this because it's going to be enabled by default. And then you need to come here and then create this middleware. Remember, this middleware matches what we have here. Uh, yeah, so this is what, so you need to have it there like this. And all these things, I've explained them in my tutorial. I've explained them very well. So there's nothing that you need to have. So you just need to follow up everything well. I've explained everything. Yeah, so yeah, and then now once everything goes well, this is what you should be able to get. So guys, I'll stop there. I'll stop there. So if you have any question, please write to me. My email is also within my website. Write to me. And as well, if you find this tutorial helpful, you can also come to this donation form here. And let me see. So guys, please, if you find the tutorials they are helpful, please donate something here. Just come here and donate something, whichever you feel. And yeah, you motivate me as a developer to keep producing this content here. So yeah, so that is it. So if you have any question, please write to me. I know this may be too much, but there's nothing add here. Once you just come to my tutorial here and get to read here, you'll understand everything from step by step. So yeah, so let's meet in the next tutorial.